Coming up, Tony Khan has some sass for WWE over them competing at the same venue. Kyle O'Reilly confirms NXT departure and a Candice LeRae contract update. Plus, Ollie is going to be reviewing AEW Dynamite.
Support WrestleTalk!
Now, last night's AEW Dynamite took place in Long Island, the home of the grotty little scumbag MJF himself, and the home of a brand spanking new stadium, the UBS Arena. Interestingly, AEW's visit came just over a week after WWE stopped by with Raw. Now, as far as we know, AEW had planned their show at the UBS Arena before WWE, and the E jumped in to get a week and a bit's head start with Raw. So it becomes something like head-to-head competition over the very same territory. AEW President Tony Khan has often said that he isn't looking to directly compete with WWE, but boy howdy, he loves an opportunity to just shoot them down when they come for him and beef it. Now, AEW Dynamite outdrew Raw by a significant margin and almost sold out the arena the MJF marks represent, and Tony told News 12 his thoughts, saying, "I just came to run a show in Long Island and it's like, hey, they're jumping to the front of the line. Run a show ahead of me, tried to beat me to market. Well, how did it work out?" Ooh, Tony, you little sastronaut. Now, the fallout from this week's NXT confirmed the departure of Johnny Gargano, who got to cut a heartfelt goodbye promo and get attacked. And it also sort of confirmed Kyle O'Reilly, who got to do a curtain call for the fans in attendance after being bested by Von Wagner earlier in the show. Now, Kyle was radio silent after NXT before resurfacing to bid farewell to the former Black and Gold brand on Twitter by saying, "Truly overwhelmed by all the love and heartfelt messages. By no means does this mean goodbye, just smell you later." Again, no confirmation that he's going to AEW. What? Unless smell you later. What smells? Fish smells. Bobby Fish. Undisputed Era reunion on AEW confirmed. With O'Reilly on the way out and Johnny Gargano having left NXT 2 to go on maternity leave with his wife, Candice LeRae, it raises the question what Candice is going to decide to do once her WWE contract comes up. Well, Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful Select had an update on this, saying that they learned that originally Candice LeRae's WWE deal was scheduled to expire in the spring of 2022. And WWE usually adds time onto contracts if people have to take time out with injury or injuries to your social life, like having a baby. But Candice LeRae has continued to appear on NXT TV while pregnant, working with Indy Hartwell and the way until that group disbanded, so time could be added to her contract, but not necessarily loads. Fightful were also reportedly told internally there hasn't been much discussion on LeRae re-signing as of yet, since WWE generally waits much closer to the expiration date to broach the subject. Final bit of news before the Dynamite review, and sadly Jim Ross took to Twitter last night to announce the passing of WWE Hall of Famer Jack Lanza, saying, "Just heard from old Winnipeg friend Bob Holliday that Jack Lanza has passed away at the age of 86. Jack was our lead agent during the Attitude Era. Hell of a hand." Now, John Lanza made his wrestling debut in 1961 and retired in 1985, worked as a road agent and producer after that, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2006. Vince McMahon posted a tribute on Twitter saying, "He was a man's man, respected and beloved by all. He worked for and loved WWE for many years. His loyalty and dedication will never be forgotten." Our condolences go out to Lanza's family and friends at this difficult time.
Now it's time for my review of AEW Dynamite in about 5 minutes. Before CM Punk returned to wrestling, many fantasy booked an angle of MJF coming out in Chicago to Cult of Personality for that heel heat. A fine idea, but as Punk has pointed out since, also obvious low-hanging fruit. So Swerve, he's going to do it to MJF. This episode in MJF's hometown of Long Island, New York, opened on MJF's music hitting to a monster babyface reaction, but out came CM Punk instead. This was one of the most hidden in plain sight angles of the year. I was well and truly worked, and I loved it. Work me again, Tony, work me. It's been a while since mainstream professional wrestling was booked competently, so forgive my gushing here. This entire segment was a masterpiece, arguably one of the bravest and successful set pieces they've done all year. I cannot stress how masterful this was. AEW turned an entire city heel. Punk played every cheap heat trick in the book. Your local sports team sucks. Chicago was way louder. All while Long Island heavily booed the babyface, nearly drowning him out at points, while me, the viewer at home, was in no way confused about who the good guy was. Punk is the best. Long Island is a dick. Rather than have the two directly interact though, Punk left for MJF's following match, the third annual Diamond Battle Royal, for which Maxwell got a hilariously over-the-top video of him walking around Long Island with a voiceover, putting him over as the hometown hero, including the accomplishment of being the captain of the all-male a cappella group at college. He then proceeded to do nothing in the match, hiding behind Wardlow the entire time, but having the crowd go crazy for him throughout, even getting a holy S-word chant when he snuck in and gave Dante Martin a tiny kick. I am stunned how well AEW leaning into a crowd trolling its major storyline has worked. If only all characters were so self-aware. Aside from MJF eliminating Wardlow along with Lio Rush and Lee Johnson, the other story of the match was Dante Martin turning on Team Taz to make it to the final two. I appreciate AEW giving Martin a storyline, but as any writing class will tell you, you need a character first. And I could not tell you what Dante's is. But MJF had one fantastic heel spot left in him. Ricky Starks began to beat Martin down as MJF was leaving up the ramp. He looked over his shoulder 3 times before finally deciding to run down and help, where he just beat up Martin too. Punk made the actual save. On top of this entire opening half hour being incredibly fun, AEW have really perfected their show structure over this last month. The Punk promo into MJF match led into each other seamlessly, acting more like a chapter in a book rather than a number of scattered segments throughout a show. Thanks for your support on Patreon, Brandon, I Just Make the List, Sires, and the British Bulldog, Philip Boy J. Smith Jr. Jungle Boy got the win in an 8-man tag of Jurassic Express and the Varsity Blondes versus the Acclaimed and 2.0, thanks to Eddie Kingston stopping Daniel Garcia getting involved, prompting a Kingston, Santana and Ortiz brawl with 2.0 and Garcia backstage afterwards. I love the idea of the former LAX faction working together, as Santana and Ortiz are some of the most underused talents on the roster. But the feud you did not know you wanted award this episode actually goes to Malachi Black versus Julia Hart, when Black spat mist in her face during their interview later on. Black, standing near the Varsity Blondes, looks like a high school horror movie. The Young Bucks are incapable of a sub 4-star match, and they drew the crowd in with high spots and heel shenanigans in their match against the Best Friends to see who the bestest best friends really are. It's the Bucks, who won with a Meltzer driver. But the real bestest best friends reunited right after, because as the Super Click beat down the faces, Tramp made his AEW return by being dropped off by his mum, presumably after a summer at military school, as he's now looking super lean and has a shaved head. He cleared house, and the Best Friends all posed with Trent's mum for a lovely moment afterwards, which I think now makes Sue a member of Chaos too. They are such a weird faction. Sammy Guevara was being interviewed about his TNT title open challenge when Cody Rhodes interrupted, probably still on fire from last week, to say from one good guy to another he'll be facing him on the Christmas Day episode, and then teased leaving through the heel tunnel. Say what you will about Cody, he is a fascinating blend of kayfabe and reality to watch self-implode on screen. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky cut a promo afterwards saying Dan Lambert is coming back soon. Riho beat Jamie Hayter in a really good match of big versus small, which played into both women's strengths. There was some great offense in this match, including Hayter catching a Riho dive outside and slamming her into the post, and an insane avalanche crucifix bomb on Jamie. Hayter is really good. Hopefully she gets into a position soon where she's not just the person you beat before you face Britt Baker. Taz announced Hook is making his in-ring debut this Friday against Fuego del Sol. Write the headlines now. Rampage beats SmackDown in all possible demos. And the main event saw Bryan Danielson beat his latest Dark Order hometown boy John Silver. Danielson was terrific as always, giving Silver some great spots to shine, but a Gotch pile driver and LaBelle Lock won him the match. Hangman Page then saved Silver from a further beatdown afterwards. It wasn't the hottest go-home angle for their title match next week, and I think Page should have wrestled more matches since Full Gear, as now he's going in totally fresh, whereas the heel has wrestled every week. What did you think of Dynamite? Let me know in the comments down below. 82% of you went for So Long Island turned heel in our poll on a poll match on the community tab. Punk and MJF's opening half hour and the Long Island crowd set the tone of this show to maximum fun. It felt like every wrestler who went out there afterwards was having an awesome time. There wasn't a bad thing on this episode, making it a very, 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 very High 4 out of 5. Now watch Luke's recap of the 10 most explosive shoot interviews of 2021.
So as the year runs out this clock, let's look back at some of the explosive interviews from 2021. Hopefully more explosive than the end of AEW Revolution Tee. I'm Luke, hailing from Parts of Unknown, and these are the 10 most explosive shoot interviews of 2021.